Hello, I'm Beth. Welcome to today's twisty practice. So we're going to be exploring yoga twists in this practice. And we're going to be noticing how twists affect the breath in the body. We're going to be making space with our breath for our body to be able to twist. We're going to explore both open twist and closed twist, and I'll say a little bit about that as we get into the practice if you don't know what I mean by that. And in general, we're going to see how the effect of twisting our body, moving our body into these more constricted positions maybe helps us when we come out of those movements to experience some relief, some release, a bit of letting go of tension in both body and in mind. Okay, are you ready to get started? You'll need your mat, and we'll start by either an upright kneeling or you can be seated on your heels. I'm going to start seated on my heels, but if upright kneeling is more comfortable for you, that's fine. So the first thing we want to do is think about space along our side bodies. We just want to feel as we breathe in that we're almost kind of lifting the rib cage off of the waist, creating lots of space. There won't really be any movement or noticeable movement, but that's the sense of breathing in, creating space, and then exhaling and keeping that space on the exhale, keeping that tallness of body. Few breaths like that, drawing your attention around your rib cage area. We have little breathing muscles called intercostals in between our ribs. And when we do spinal twists, most of the twist is going to happen around our ribs, which is our thoracic spine, front and back ribs. That's going to be most of the twisting motion. To start though, let's open lateral, side to side. So I'm going to take my right hand and reach over, and I am mirroring you if you're looking at me. Reach over to the side, and I have some blocks. You can have a block here on the floor if the floor feels far away. In fact, I'll grab one of my blocks. Take the other arm up, and just lean over to the side, but really reach the top arm away, feeling as if the arm goes all the way down to your hip, and so that you can feel that reach in your waist, your ribs, your armpit, and then all the way through the arm. Big, long stretch. Breathing into those side body muscles, making space there for a breath or two. And then breathe up tall, breathe in tall to come up. If you're using the block, switch that to the second side. Same thing on the other side. One hand comes down to the block or the floor if you'd like. Breathe up and tall, lots of space on the opposite side, and then lean over any amount. Next breath, reach back up tall and bring that arm down. I'll put my block aside. Going to come into a child's pose. I'll back up a little bit. When you practice child's, you can have your knees closer together if you want more support for your torso, or you can have your knees apart any amount if you'd like more space. I'm going to have mine kind of in between. And from seated on the heels, we'll just start to walk the arms out. They can stay bent if you'd like. They can come under the head. So find any place for your arms, and here's another place where you could also use a block. Few breaths here. This time breathing into the back ribs, really sending the breath and the energy there. And I'm going to move my blocks. We're going to do another lateral stretch. So we'll walk our hands to one side, kind of one top corner of the mat. And as you do that, feel as if you're moving the opposite hip in the other diagonal away from you, reaching out that same arm as hip. And once again, getting lots of long stretch in that side body. Take a breath here. I'll come up a little bit so I can crawl my hands all the way to the second side. You can settle back down, and once again, reach from your fingertips to the outer hip, creating long length space in the side body. getting our spine used to the idea of space to create that sense of space for our twists. And then you can take a breath in, walk back through to center, one more breath in your child's pose. And walk your hands in, come up to kneeling, and this time do come up to an upright kneeling. We're going to start our first twist here. Now, we're mostly focused on spinal twists, and so our lower body is going to be pretty stable, but you might notice some movement. Even when I just did that little back and forth movement, you might have seen a little movement in my hips. That's fine. We don't want to hold our lower body as if in cement, but we want to think about most of the twisting action coming from the belly button up through the rib cage. So let's try that, and let's try that with our hands on our ribs just to help encourage that movement around the thoracic spine. So take a breath in, remember tallness in the side body, and then thinking about the movement coming from the belly button up, start to let your body revolve to one side. You can gently slide your hands along your ribs to feel that movement around that side. Or really just keeping the movement mostly isolated into this thoracic spine area. The movement is going to go up into our shoulders and our neck as well, but we'll explore that in a moment. Breathe in back through center. And then feel that movement as you go the other way. Your hands slide around, you're moving ribs. You can even keep one hand on the front, one hand on the back to feel that action. And notice I can feel my hips moved a little bit. They're basically anchoring me here, grounding me, but certainly they can move a bit with the twist. Back through center. So that was a real gentle twist to start. We'll do that same thing, but first we'll explore the movement of the head and twist. So take one hand, place it on the top of your head, elbow straight out. So elbow is pretty much in line with the plane of your body. And as you twist in the direction of your elbow, we're going to keep our head in pretty much the same position. Mine might move around a little bit. So the chin is fairly centered on the chest. I'm not going to let my head move in the twist at first. And then start to draw your shoulder blade on the bent arm back. And as you do that with your hand on your head, it acts like a little spiral. You can start to feel the neck turn in that direction as well. So just notice how that feels when you add that extra action. Then stay here, but remove the hand from your head and look as far as you comfortably can over that shoulder. Turn your head to the opposite direction, keeping your twist, but look as far as you can over the opposite shoulder. And come back through to center, unwind your body back to front. So we'll do that on the second side. Basically, this is helping us explore where we like our neck and twist. They can be anywhere along that plane. Let's try the second side. Hand at the top of the head. So at first, our chin is centered on the chest as we can begin to unwind and twist in the direction of the elbow. Elbow is pretty much straight out from the body to start. And you just twist to wherever you kind of start to feel some compression, a natural stopping point for your body. My other hand is just helping me stay anchored in my lower body. And then I'll use my the back of my shoulder, my top arm, to let my shoulder start to twist a little bit more to that side. A little added piece to this twist. And lastly, I'll take my head or my hand off my head, allow my head to fully go into the twist. I'll take my head back, keeping my body twisted, revolving my head in the other direction to see if I like that better. How does that feel for my neck? And then take your head through to center and come back around to front. So any twist we do, you can decide where to put your head. Your head could go into twist. We're also trying not to lead. So let me just show you one last thing. I could have led those twists by twisting my head, but then it gets really harder to twist around my spine if I started with my head first. So that's why we're thinking about this bottom up, kind of twisting around our spine. And then if you'd like to add the head, you're welcome to do that. All right, now we're going to come down to all fours position, and we'll explore a little bit starting open closed twist. So an open twist is usually moving away from our body, away from if we have a leg or a knee there, into open space, where a closed twist is moving more toward our body. And I think you'll see what I mean in this first all fours pose. So place your hands on the mat under your shoulders, and you can switch this up to find out where is the most comfortable spot for you. Now we're going to twist to the front side first, and what I like to do is take my hands around the opposite side underneath the ribs, and again get that sense of twisting from around the rib cage, this time opening your body out to the side. So this is an open twist, opening out to the side body space, and you can keep your hand there if that helps. You can place it at the hip, you can place it up, and remember, then I can put my head or my neck anywhere I'd like. So I could look in the opposite direction if I'd like. I can look up toward my top hand. Or I could keep it in a more neutral space, sort of centered over my chest. So to go into a closed twist, you might know this is sometimes called thread the needle or revolved all fours. We're going to dive with the top arm under our body, palm up, so that the same arm cheek comes toward the mat. It doesn't have to touch. You can feel how this twist is closing you around the body, although the action is still coming around the rib cage. And when you get down to wherever you get down there, stay for a breath or two. One more time, come back up through your all fours. Open twist on this side. Take a big breath into that open space. And then thread under. One breath here. Return to all fours and we'll prepare for the second side. Let me just tuck my shirt in so that doesn't get in the way of what you're seeing. All right. Again, if you'd like, you can reach your hand under. You might be able to see better on this side. I'm sort of reaching around to the ribs on the opposite side. So when I breathe in, I can feel my hands slide across, encouraging that movement around my rib cage. And then I go to wherever I naturally can. And I can keep my hand there if it feels good. I can tuck it on my hip, or I can reach it up tall. Same with my neck. I can decide where I want to put my neck. Maybe it wants to move a little bit. And then we'll go through that closed twist or that thread the needle by diving under our own body. Maybe you stay here in a little hover. This is still a closed twist. Or perhaps you come down. You can arrange this hand wherever helps hold you in this twist. Maybe that's even toward the back body. One breath in here. And we'll do that one more time in each direction. Breathe in, reach up. Go under your body for the closed twist. Hold for a moment, breathe. And then we'll come back through to all fours. All right, last little bit on the floor. We're going to do that same open-closed twist action in a lunge. So I'll come up to standing knees and simply step 1 foot forward. We're going to do pretty much a 90-90-ish lunge. So the back knee is close to being under the hip. It might be a little behind if that's more comfortable on your knee. And certainly feel free to put extra padding under your knees, to take the feet more wide apart if that helps you to feel more stable. So let's just get stable here too. You can see I'm a little wobbly. We're all a little wobbly as soon as we go asymmetrical, so we can take a moment to stabilize. Same hand as front leg, helping you to stabilize. So I like arms out in a T for this position. You can also have them in this more goalpost or cactus shape, or really you could keep your hands at hips the whole time. Actually, let me try the cactus shape here. So I'm going to turn my body toward you, so away from my front bent knee into space. This is our open twist. So you might find that you can twist further to the side when you do an open twist. You might also find it doesn't feel as twisty. You don't get as much as that wringing out around the center of your body. So let's try that to the other direction. I'm going to start moving away from you, spinning toward my front bent leg. And yeah, this feels a little bit more constrained because I'm turning into my body here. And then when you get to wherever you get to, you can either keep your arms up, or maybe you put your hands down, letting your hand on the outside of the leg support you. And let's hold in the closed twist for a few breaths. And remember, if you choose to look in the opposite direction, you can. It could feel really good for your neck to get a twisting the other way. I can keep my head right centered or look in the same direction I'm twisting toward. Last breath in here. And we exhale, we'll move around to the front, and we'll simply switch legs. Take your opposite knee in front. Still take a few moments to make sure you feel stable on this side. One foot forward might feel more stable in your body than the other. And notice I'm not leaning. We could do this twist in a leaning way. We're just doing it upright today to illustrate more the feeling between the open closed twist, so you can pay attention to how that feels in your body. I'll show you quickly. A closed twist with the hand down would be like this. So we're twisting to the same side of the body, just a little bit different orientation. All right, let's start with our open twist on this side again. Cactus arms or any other arm arrangement that you'd like. Breathe in, still feeling that lengthened space on the side body around the ribs, and then exhale into that open space. Once again, you can see my lower body is staying pretty stable. This hip is opening up a little bit in this direction. And this can feel really nice. It feels open and spacious. This is a great way for pregnant people to twist, actually, because closed twists are not always good for a pregnant body, so you can think about twisting more into space and not having it as an intense twist around the abdomen. And then on the next breath, we'll spin around through front to the other side, and already you can feel that little bit of contraction around your abdomen, that more tighter twist. I'm going to bring my hands down to support myself in this twist. So both types of twists are great. It really just depends on the sensations that you're going for in that body, what you're trying to do in that practice, for your practice on that day, what you're trying to produce, and not just the body feeling, but also what kind of effect you want it to have on your mind, on your emotions, on your general well-being. Let's hold another breath in this twist. And we'll spin back around to front. Okay, we're going to do one more twist standing, and you might be surprised to hear that this is a twist, which is why I really wanted to include it. So let's come to standing. And stand so there's a little bit of space in front of you on your mat. We're going to do a warrior one pose. So warrior one is not usually thought of as a typical twist. I want to show you how you can feel the twisting action in your body in warrior one. So you're going to take the toes of one foot pointed a little bit out, and then step the other foot a little bit forward. Maybe about a leg length. It doesn't have to be as deep as you might normally go for your warrior poses. It could be a little bit more shallow, and it can also be a little bit more wide if that feels more stable. So first we're going to find our warrior one stance with knee over ankle, back leg pushing towards straight, and you might adjust how far the back toes are turned out, so it feels comfortable. And that's where I want you to start with. Find a place that feels comfortable. Don't think about what direction your hips are supposed to be in or anything to start. And find a place where the weight can feel pretty even over the back body and the front body. Now, just even holding here for a little bit helps build strength in your lower body. So you might not feel like we're doing much, but you are. So The reason I wanted to have my mat on a diagonal here today is you'll see my hips are now pointed toward you. They are not pointed toward front. You'll sometimes hear the idea of squaring your hips toward the front. If I square my hips toward the front, it would start to feel really torquey in my back leg hip. If I turn my feet all the way around, then yeah, I could do it that way. It turns into a little bit more of a crescent lunge pose, which is fine. That's another option if you'd rather do that. Sometimes I have a few teachers who would call this warrior 1.5. So if you want to do warrior 1.5, you can. But let's try it warrior 1. Let's let the hips go out in the diagonal direction. I'm just going to re-stance myself here. And then take your hands back to the area we've been working, back around the ribs. And we're going to do our twist, keeping our lower body just as it is, or letting it naturally move, but not trying to square it around toward front. And take our torso from the belly button up, turn that to the front. So now my torso is facing front, my hips are still off in this direction, my pelvis is in that direction. That is the twist in warrior 1. And then you can take your hands into whatever arrangement you'd like. Continue to feel the weight evenly over both feet, lifting the inner thigh of the back leg away from you as you press the outer edge of the back foot into the floor. Maybe you explore whether there's room to sink down a little bit more into this pose, or maybe find a little bit more of that twisting action. Let's go for another 3 breaths here. This is the nice strong pose, and hopefully you've found an arrangement that's comfortable to hold for these last few breaths. Okay, you can bring your arms down, straighten your front leg, and as I step forward, I am going to turn my hips forward, lift the back foot to make it more comfortable for me to step forward. Then I'll step back so we can try that on the second side. So now the opposite back foot goes out a little bit, and you'll adjust that depending on when you find your stance. Front foot steps forward. Front knee bends over the ankle, finding a place where you feel stable. And remember, you can adjust the width more. You want to have the back leg moving towards straight and back foot pressing it toward the floor. I'm going to take a moment to find out where that is for me, where I naturally feel balanced over both feet pressing evenly into the floor. And again, on this side, you probably can see my hips are still out on a diagonal. They are not squared toward front. And if I tried to do that without moving my foot, that would be super uncomfortable on my ankle, on my pelvis. That doesn't mean no one could do that. It means it's not right for my body. So I encourage you to explore whether it's right for your body. All right, so from here, let's breathe in, find our tall position. Let's place our hands around the ribs and encourage that twist from the belly button up. And you might encourage the shoulders to twist a little bit more if you'd like. In this position, we're probably going to keep the head forward, although there's no reason that you couldn't add the head into the twist if you want. It might no longer look like a traditional warrior 1, but that's okay. And if you want to look a little bit more like the traditional warrior 1, lift up your arms. I don't know if you can see this, but the muscles of my back leg are actually shaking just from this little bit of a hold. And so that'll give you a sense of, can yoga build muscle strength, build bone strength? Absolutely, yes it can. And of course, the longer you hold, the more you encourage that building of strength. So we are going to hold for 3 more breaths. You can explore, can you get more length? Can you get more twist? Can you sit into your pose a little more? Last breath in and out. Okay, when you're ready, lower your hands. And once again, you can turn your hips in order to turn your back foot and then step back. All right, let's finish in just a simple mountain pose. I'll turn to you now. So find your feet under your hips. Find the place where your shoulders can be over your hips, hips over your heels. Standing up in a way that feels really balanced over your feet. So So letting our body be in one plane, not twisting, not lateral stretching. And notice how that feels for you, if anything's shifted or changed. So this short and sweet practice was intended to help you explore a little bit of twisting in your body. I really like helping people explore how poses show up for them and their bodies. All of my practices are really intended as yoga for everyone. Try them, tell me what you think, give me a like down below, or any questions in the comments. Have a great rest of your day.